CP3.
Welcome to Sports on the Hill podcast. Hashtag DC Sports Without the Politics with Carol and Robbie on True Radio Network. Thank you, gentlemen.
CP3. Live from the lab.
Just run it down their throat.
Three tight ends. Hurts will pull it on play action, and it's dropped by Dallas Goedert.
We'll get a good look right here. Ball. Heel. Oh,
wow. Ricochets right to Landon Collins. It was ruled incomplete. The punt team was on the field, and it went right off his heel.
Oh, wow. What a break. So they can keep the same defensive personnel trying to attack it with the run game.
Gibson leaping into the end zone for a Washington touchdown. Hurts the swing pass to Sanders. A lot of traffic out there and nowhere to go. He looked up. William Jackson and Jeremy Reeves were right there to turn him away.
And that was Cole Holcomb. Had to make a decision. Do I take the underneath route or the over-the-top route? Jalen Hurts just moved him with his eyes.
And Hurts dropped by Rotimi. His first sack and a loss of 2.
Way at the top of your screen up there. Just working, you know, that makes it tough on a lineman because you're trying to work inside the pocket.
Not been an easy task for anybody this year to do that. Hurts on second down. Nobody open, in trouble, and he's sacked for the second time. The ball's out. A turnover and Landon Collins. So it's first down Washington at the 47. And Garrett Gilbert taking a deep shot. Got a man open. Jump ball caught. McLaurin inside the 10. First and goal Washington. At the bottom of your screen on first down and 10. Gilbert will check it short. Nice catch on the high throw. Ricky Seals-Jones into Eagles territory.
Especially if Philly can keep running it.
Two-Hill back in, 2nd and 8. Pressure up the middle. Hurts in some trouble, and Hurts goes down. Career high in sacks for Jonathan Allen now with 8.5.
Impressive throw.
Third down and 1. Play action.
Got him.
Gilbert fires, caught. It's the tight end Bates lunging across the goal line. He'll be down inside the 2. Patterson in the backfield with Gilbert. It'll be Patterson who gets the carry, fighting his way to the goal line. He's in for a Washington touchdown.
You're going to see Humphreys go across and block, and they're going to hit this thing right up inside. It's just double teams across the board. And the running back's job, find a crease. A young quarterback got ready to play, an inexperienced quarterback, I should say, in just his second start.
What's going on, people? It's Tuesday night, last episode of Sports on the Hill podcast in 2021, episode 253. We got Capitals talk. Of course, we got Washington football team talk. You just watched some of the few highlights from the Eagles game. I didn't even attempt to put together a highlight film for the Cowboys game because there were really no reason to do it. I'll definitely talk about that in the bottom half of the hour. I'll give my state of the team of this season. You know, I know there's still 2 games left. Season, you know, isn't over, but I got some choice, you know, thoughts and words for some of Washington football team fans and some of the stuff I've been watching on social media. So I got to give my end of the year, you know, little synopsis for some of the folks that don't know what the hell they're talking about, but you know, that's not neither here nor there. Then we'll also finish up the show as always with the NBA roundtable. It'll be a little smaller roundtable. We have DC's People's Champion and Rune in the building, breaking down the Wizards recap and upcoming games, and Currently, they're playing Miami Heat, and it's not looking real good for the Wizards. They're down 25 in the third quarter, 85-60, with a little under 5 minutes left in the third. I just turned the game on around halftime, and they were down, I think, about 15 at half. Now it's ballooned to 25. So we'll definitely get DC's People's Champ, his and Arun's take on what's going on tonight and what's been going on with this team. They've been affected with COVID, just like most sports right now. So, Capitals Talk is definitely going to be filled with COVID news, with the Capitals' last 3 games getting canceled. And hopefully they should be playing tomorrow, which we haven't seen any news that it's getting canceled. But I think they have 6 players that's on the COVID list now. But we'll definitely get into that. We can go ahead and bring in Anna. How are you doing tonight? We can talk about some of this Capital stuff.
Good. I feel like I'm so happy with my new Sports in the Hill attire. I love my new sweatshirt. And then of course we got to come on to the loss of John Madden, which the hell, like 2021 didn't already suck enough. It's like, man, and we were just talking about him, like he's from my town. So terrible loss, but
yeah, I just watched the special they had on Christmas. It was a great special. Well, at least he, was around to see that. But yeah, I'm definitely going to talk about that in the football hour, well, football segment, not hour. John Madden, his passing, and the huge impact he had on football and the growth of football and the great commentating that did to change the game and every aspect of what he did. So yeah, we're definitely going to talk some John Madden. So yeah, rest in peace, prayers to his family and everything he was just showing, his sons and all his grandkids on the special. So I definitely know that they're probably hurting right now. So prayers out to them, great football guy and a great guy, great man from what everyone.
Definitely. Super. I mean, there won't be another. I mean, there just won't be. There, and because I can remember growing up when he was with Pat Summerall and you're just like, oh my God, like, you listen to them and it's just, and then Al Michaels and, he starts drawing on the screen and you're just like, who is this guy? If you didn't love him as a person, you were missing out because he was entertaining, but so damn knowledgeable. But yes, save that for football segment. Not that there's anything great to talk about with the Capitals. It's just COVID is just, I don't even know what to say anymore. Nothing surprises me. Let's just be honest. I read the news constantly and I'm like, okay, yep, that happened. Not surprised. Here we go again. You're seeing it in the NFL, you're seeing it in the NBA, and we are 100% seeing it in the NHL. So unfortunately, I don't know, I'm excited for tomorrow's game, but we'll go back to the Capitals playing on the 15th if you want me to recap that one, and we'll go.
Yeah, we can go ahead and at least see the last games of 2021 that we haven't covered. Might as well cover those and talk about the cancellations and look at the hopeful upcoming schedule, and hopefully we can get some hockey back, and then along with the NHL saying that they are not going to, send the players to the Olympics to play. So that's huge also.
Huge. Yeah. Which is crazy. Yeah, definitely we'll talk about that. So going with the Caps recap, no pun intended, of course. Back on the 15th, the Caps played the Blackhawks. No score in the first. And the second period had Ovechkin scoring the power play goal at 3:36, making it his 21st so far. So it's 21st so far. The next 37 seconds, somehow the Blackhawks score 3 times. 3 times. 37 seconds, 3 times. This is unheard of. If it was the Capitals, we would be talking about it, but I'm not going to talk about it. 1918 Sprong scores. It's now 3-2 Chicago. Third period, Eller scores at 11:57. Chicago scores at the 15-minute mark. And then Connor Sherry scores at 19:57 to tie it at 4-4. So just when we thought we had the chance at 1:21 in overtime, nope, taken away from us. Just This was a frustrating game, but not nearly as frustrating as the Kings game, which we'll talk about in a couple. But I don't know if you saw this, remembered this, or have any opinion on this.
Yeah, those 3 goals. That I had a question because it was a 5-on-3, and I could have swore they scored after the time elapsed on the 5-on-3. And then I was wondering, why were they still on the power play after they scored if it went to 5-on-4? So I don't know. I never got a chance to go back and check and see if it was a 5-on-3 goal or if it was a 5-on-4, because I could have swore that the 5-on-3 penalty should have been expired and it should have been 5-on-4. But that really, threw me off. Yeah, Chicago got the momentum with that. And it was just, like I said, with the players that's out, and for some reason Chicago has been, against, Marc-Andre Fleury, he's getting much love from the post, and the 2 games that he played, he's probably got about 12 posts in his favor, including in the shootout. So,
this was just, I think it was like 36 seconds. Like, hold on a second. So I agree. I think I saw your post where you're like, wait a second, weren't we out of time?
Yeah.
Wasn't that? Yeah. So I agree with you on that one. It just seems like, I feel like the last hockey game was so long ago because of everything that's been going on, but that was definitely one that kind of stood out. And I'm not one to take away from any player when they're pretty fantastic and you're going up against the Flowers. So, all right, and Jonathan Toews and a couple other players on the team that are pretty great. So, but I really kind of felt like we were going to rally and come back, and we just didn't have it. So, unfortunately, this was just a move on kind of game.
Yeah, at least they got a point.
Exactly. So then on the 17th, here we go. Caps played the Jets. No goals in the first. Leeson and Sprong score in the second, along with Brendan Dillon, former Caps player, now Jets. Third period, the Jets score once, but then the Caps have goals by Sheary, Scarboza, and Ovechkin for a 5-2 win. And this was a big welcome back for Vanacek. For all of us who are his fans and are supporting him, he was 40 for 42. Fantastic. He looked amazing. And I loved everything about how he played that night. It was just, he looked good. He looked sharp on it. And 40 blocks is pretty fantastic for 60 minutes of hockey.
Yeah, he definitely looked good, after, not playing for a while. The offense, was keyed in. Winnipeg was going through their coach resigning before this game and had a new interim coach. He actually just basically said that, he don't think his voice, his message is going to be able to take this team to the next level. He's pretty much done all that he can do. And, instead of riding out his contract and continuing to see the team, go down the road they were going, he would rather step aside and get someone else that has a fresh voice to, try to hopefully turn the tide for the team and get them going in the right direction. So they're going through a little flux. The Capitals definitely, did their thing against a lesser opponent that's going through some flux. And, Ovi got the empty net goal. It's just amazing. I know it's an empty net at the end of the game, but if you look at his numbers, I mean, he's second in the league in goals and second in the league in points. And they haven't played the last 3 games. So it's just the older he gets, the better he gets, and the better he makes this team. And this was just they needed a game like this. They've had some tight games, wins, losses, overtime losses. So it was good to have a game where they actually had some, cushion and wasn't coming down to the last period or the last 10 minutes trying to get the game in hand. They had it under control for most of the game.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's always awesome to hear names like Leeson, Sprong, who I think is just been amazing this season. Scarboza's making a name for himself. So we're definitely having those players who are coming up and proving themselves, which is great, and being consistent, not just like having one great game and then we don't hear from them for a couple of games and then they're sent down to Hershey. this has been consistent players who seem to have really great chemistry on the ice, and that's kind of a relief, I would say, for the fans in regards to all the COVID protocols coming up. And you never know. Like, I'm not surprised when they start calling names. I'm like, all right, who's that guy? Oh, okay, he works in the locker room. Great. All right, let's go. Like, you know, this person's selling popcorn and he's going to play on the top line. Go for it. Like, whatever.
Escape, put him on the ice, damn
it. That's all it is. Unfortunately, this Kings game, I think this was like the worst game I'd seen in a while. If we weren't coming up to a COVID break, this would have been a perfect time for a break regardless, because the team looked terrible. So we have the last game that they played was against the Kings. They had goals from Connor McMichael and Schultz. But then you had the Kings scoring 3 times, and that was it. It was a 3-2 loss. Our power play was 0 for 6. Just terrible. They just looked off. They just seemed, there was just a big disconnect in this game. That's kind of the only word I can think of. I did not enjoy this game, and I had friends that haven't seen a game ever, and this was their first game, and they're like, oh, this is going to be so great. I thought, yeah, you're going to have a great time, and then not so much. So it was discouraging, to say the least.
Yeah, can't remember exactly how this game went. I just can't remember. It was just, like I said, the Caps were undermanned. So they had this third period. LA scored twice. Yeah, it was a 1-1 game. Caps were up 2-1. And yeah, like I said, I can't really have a thought process on this game. I don't remember, but I do remember going 0 for 6 on the power play. Face off, got beat horribly, 43-27. And it just, like I said, they've had these tough games against these tougher opponents that they haven't been able to, you know, get into the style that we're used to seeing them, like we saw early in the season, averaging 4 or 5 goals a game, playing solid defense, and basically shutting the other team down for pretty much the whole game. Hopefully, you know, we get the players back healthy and get the roster back to, you know, what we were used to at the beginning of the season. They can get some chemistry back and get back to the, you know, Capitals hockey we were seeing earlier, the strong defense, the dominant offense, and 200 feet of playing, you know, offensive defenses in every zone. They were active, you know, pushing it and pressuring the other team. And the forecheck was ridiculous, you know, when they were hunting, because they were, you know, enforcing their will. You know, they're one of the bigger teams in the league. And, yeah, you start wearing folks down. You hit them into the boards enough times, they're going to start, you know, thinking twice before they're going after the puck or going in the corner.
Right. And I don't know what happened necessarily with this game. I know Wilson was out. Like, he didn't travel, but I think the hope was because we, when the Capitals left for their West Coast trip in November, you know, they played the Kings. It was a great game. They beat them in a shutout. It was like, okay, great. And then all of a sudden, it's I don't know if they were overly confident or who knows what happened, but it should have been a W, and it wasn't. And then, of course, to leave it at that loss, going into like 3 canceled games, I guess we'll see what's going to happen. Hopefully tomorrow night, nothing gets canceled.
Exactly. It's definitely going to be interesting going forward with the COVID stuff, the postponements. I know some teams were postponed before the Capitals did, so hopefully they have, you know, contingency plans to get these games made up so it doesn't affect the playoffs or anything. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how we move forward in all sports, especially with the hockey now. It wasn't really an issue before, but it's definitely ramped up. So I'm anxious to see how the rest of the season plays out.
I'm with you, and I think what I heard on social media, and so like quote me, not quote me on this one, is because we are not going to be in the Winter Olympics during that 3-week time frame that would have been blocked off for the Olympics. They're going to make up the games during that time.
That makes sense.
which makes sense. So, I mean, because we missed Philly, the Islanders, and Ottawa. That was like our little group right there. And then, of course, tomorrow we have the Predators coming to DC. So hopefully that'll be the case. So we're not playing, not that we would care if they were playing hockey into June and July, but, it's nice to kind of wrap it up during a normal time frame. So I guess we'll see. But that was the last I heard since we're not going to the Olympics, the games would be made up during that time frame.
That sounds like a good plan. Hopefully it works out that way. Let's go ahead and look at the 3 upcoming games that hopefully get played before we get into the new year of the NHL. Right.
So we have tomorrow the Predators. This is going to be a wake-up call for sure. That they have a fantastic record. I don't know. I have not seen who's on their COVID protocol list, but I will say for the Capitals, as of yesterday, the players that are on the list are Vanacek, Jensen, Faravari, Sprong, Schultz, Cholowski. That's a lot right there. However, bringing back number 6, Michael Kempny, who I love, he's going to be paired up with TBR, which I think will be great. And then Alex Zexyev and Irwin are going to be playing, and it will be his debut. So we'll see how that goes. Who knows? At this point, like I said, you could put anybody in there at this. Laviolette could play. Who knows?
Yeah, gotta fill the roster. Hopefully, this COVID stuff is crazy, but hopefully we can get these players back healthy and get a full roster sometime soon. At least on 3-week layoff for the Olympics, we can get some people back healthy, and then after that little break and they make up those games, they can come back full strength.
I hope so. I really do, because I do think that tomorrow is going to be tough. I think. Just even with the COVID protocol and players on, not being able to play, they're also not training together. So that's tough. And they had this break and holidays and whatever. So we have Predators tomorrow, Friday, New Year's Eve. They're actually in Detroit. We'll see how that goes up against Dylan Larkin. And then January 2nd, at home against the Jersey Devils.
Yeah, it's definitely all winnable games, but the Predators are a quality squad. They're second in their division, 19-10-1. Detroit, we've seen a couple of good games between these two teams early in the season, so that's going to definitely be an entertaining game as we've seen. And then the Devils, they pretty much own the Devils, but the Devils have been playing better. And they did play them tough earlier this season, even though the Caps did, get the win. But they definitely trying to end that horrible streak that they have going against the Capitals. So this could definitely, as a week that the Capitals can improve off their 1-1-1 week that we just broke down. So I'd like to see a 2-1, if not 3-0 week like we were saying earlier in the season. But
yeah, I would be so content with 2-1. But I would love to know who. So if Vanacek's out, they have Sammy play. I don't think that they would put him in all 3 games. That might be a little too much.
They might call up for Kylie again.
For Kylie, which why not? The kid, he's great. I think that would be great, and I would be all on board for that. It'd be cool to see that. I hope that Michael Kempny comes out strong. I think everyone was pulling for him because not only was he a great player, scored in the Stanley Cup finals, but those injuries and how he managed to come back from that gruesome injury. There was 2 of them, but the second one was definitely more severe. It'd be great to see him, come back. And what I've heard, according to journalists who've been there, is that he's bringing a very high positive energy to the locker room, which is good for him. That's what we want to hear.
Well, he's always been a team player. Just had some unfortunate injuries the last 2 seasons. and hopefully he can get healthy and stay healthy and help this team become another contender again.
Exactly. And again, at this point, like part of me wants to see. I want to ride out the rest of the season, but I don't want it to be, this week by week COVID with any of the sports. I mean, it was hard enough to watch your football team play, my football team play, and fall apart due to all the not even injuries, just due to the COVID protocol. So this pandemic is kind of leaves you a little bit speechless for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely uncharted territory. It's affecting every aspect in our lives, and now it's affecting the sports world and the sports lives. So yeah, it's a new day. Unfortunately, it feels like this might be the new normal going forward, until, everybody gets vaccinated and start wearing masks and taking it serious. And I don't know. But hopefully things will get better. They always say it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I think we're seeing it go back to the worst. I know they said Maryland had the largest uptick in COVID cases a couple of days ago, like 6,800 cases. And they said that the biggest peak in 2020, it was like 3,900. So just to give you an idea, even with the situation, people knowing about it, still affecting folks left and right.
Yeah. Well, and I think that we all remember when the pandemic hit and then there were no sports. That was really hard. It was really hard. There's only so many times you can watch certain Super Bowl highlights or certain Stanley Cup or World Series highlights.
I was watching the Nationals championship run, and I was watching the Capitals championship run during that time. So I got a chance to watch it on my DVR, stuff that I recorded that I hadn't watched in a while. So I did get to catch up on that stuff.
Yeah. So that was a good thing. So let's just hope we don't have to hit that again. But I also don't want to see, so many players out and being sick and their families sick. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? All that matters is that they're dropping the puck tomorrow at 7 against Nashville, and we'll see what happens.
No doubt. All right. As always, appreciate your insight and help breaking down the Capitals talk. Last show of the year. I appreciate you as always joining the show, helping us break down the Capitals, and being, especially with Robbie being out. And just like I said, appreciate it as always. We got some things in store for the show. I'm trying to make some things happen because we're not doing this just for fun. We're doing this because we love it, but we also do it because we want to make money off of it also. So
of course, and if it happens to involve Tom Wilson, you can always count me in. Anytime, any day. I've got your back on that one. But no, thank you. You guys have been fantastic. I've loved the show. I'm glad to end. Let's hope on a happy note tomorrow. Let's hope that's it. So yes, have a happy new year. I hope you get your 4 sales. Fingers crossed.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Pulling for you.
Oh yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It's definitely gonna happen. I've been here before. I know how to make it work. We're gonna make it do what it do.
No doubt. All right, well, have a great show, and hopefully it'll wrap up soon so you can get some rest.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Appreciate it.
Okay, take care. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye. Excuse me. As always, I'd like to thank Anna for joining us on the show, helping to break down the Capitals and, talk hockey in general. We have a lot of contributors and folks that help make Sports OTHP what it is. And, got to give them a shout out, give them much love. Now we're going to get into Washington football talk. I'm going to end the year with my own. I'm not even going to have anybody come in. No, dialogue or anything. I'm going to just break down my interpretations of this team, my state of the team. And it's a lot of storylines going. Hold on, let me try to trying to share to some of these pages that I have on my phone. Like I told you, it's hard doing everything when your main co-host is out. But talking about this Washington football team, there's been a lot of fan frustration, which I get, especially after the game we saw a couple of nights ago on Sunday Night Football, getting beat 56-14 against your rival. I get it. I get the frustration. You also have to take into account, Dallas was a healthy team. Dallas is a better team than our team, especially at the state of the injuries and the COVID situation. Granted, I wouldn't have wanted to see it, 56-14, but as I did the week before and the week before that, I have to put some of the onus on Scott Turner and his game plan. He did the offense no favors, coming out, throwing the ball once again when we saw that passing the ball wasn't the way to win the game. Running the ball was. And he totally went against that. And just like this game, the defense held, got the Cowboys off the field. First play on offense, he wants to go deep. Boom, interception, give the ball right back to Dallas. And they get the momentum, they score, and then the floodgates open. I just don't understand why he's so reluctant to run the ball when we saw that works on the 4-game winning streak that put them back in playoff contention. And then you go against everything that you did to get in that position when you're in a crucial spot to make a run for the division title. And you decided, hey, let's pass the ball against a defense where they're getting 2 pass rushers back. We're down to our 4th center and 2 backup linemen. But, hey, let's throw the ball and see what happens. Scott Turner has a lot of growing to do as a play caller. I'm not one of those folks that's already talking about fire him and blow the whole thing up. That's not the answer. You cannot fix 25-plus years of bad football in a year and 15 weeks. The team is getting better. It might not be at the pace that most fans would want it. Might not be at the pace that we've seen other teams turn around their franchise. But remember, other teams aren't the Washington football team. Every team is different. Every front office is different. Every personnel is different. Scouting team is different. You have different intangibles that go into what makes a team good and what makes them stay good and not just be good for 1 or 2 years and then boom, you're back in a rebuilding phase. It's a process. And over and over again, the franchise have tried to shortcut the process, and then we end up right back where we are at the bottom of the division, bottom of the league, in everything. But this year you saw, after the bye week, after adjustments were made in the game plans and the schemes and the personnel, unfortunately it took that long, week 10, for them to make those wholesale changes that made the team better. But we saw adjustments. We saw when the coach said we're going to go and reevaluate every player, position, and coach and game plan and scheme, he meant it. It wasn't just lip service. He went in there, changed some things around, moved some personnel around, and we saw the potential of what this team can do on that 4-game winning streak. We saw what his vision is. We saw what he's trying to build. And then flip the switch and see the total opposite, along with getting embarrassed on Sunday Night Football, which is never a good thing because we know how this team plays during prime time. They were on a decent, stretch of primetime games under coach, but yeah, they definitely laid the donut this game. But like I said, I'm not really going to go into all the stats of the Philly game and the Dallas game. Fact is, they're on a 3-game losing streak. We got 2 games left in the season. Hopefully, we can get some players back off the COVID list. And technically, they're still alive for the playoffs. Honestly, I'm not really tripping off the making the playoffs. Some fans still want to make the playoffs, 2 years back to back, which would be cool. But as I've said before, that winning the division last year was kind of a gift and a curse. It was cool when the division made the playoffs, but only get you a first place schedule, and boom, we are where we are. They weren't ready to make that move, but because they were able to win the division with a under 500 record, because the division was upside down last year, it is what it is. I'm not complaining. I enjoyed, the playoff run. Wish it would have been longer, but can't win them all. But it's definitely growth with this team. A lot of fans complaining, talking about the Daniel Snyder curse, and the team is never going to be good as long as he's the owner, and yada, yada, yada. I can't do nothing with that. That's what you feel, that's what you feel. But all that man's done the last 8 to 10 years, he opened his wallet and said what you need to do to win. They complained about the Haskins stuff when coaches came out and said they would have drafted them all. So ahead of if they had a choice to do it before we drafted. So that whole narrative, man, I don't even have no words for you. I just laugh at folks that say that. There are a lot of worse owners in the league than Daniel Snyder. Y'all personal, take it personal. That's cool. You're fans. I get it. But yeah, there are a lot of other owners that, don't spend money on their team and don't, try to build the franchise to be better. He's tried. He hasn't been successful. He hasn't went about it in the right way all the times. But his goal is to make the team better. I'm talking about he's, trying to make money. He's already a billionaire. He was rich before he bought the team. Remember that. So, I don't know. I understand the frustration. You want to have whatever thought process behind it that helps you, cope with the stuff that's going on in the field. I get it. But take a step back and look at what the team is building. It hasn't even 2 whole years yet that coach has been in charge. And we've seen the talent better. We've seen the depth get better. Yeah, the COVID situation now, along with injuries, now we into our 3rd, 4th, and practice squad players. So, yeah, they're not going to be as talented as the players that we had there. 4th and 5th string players, and they're going against 1st, 2nd, and 3rd string players. So, this is going to be key these last 2 games with the playoffs pretty much being out of the realm, even though it's a long shot they can make it. Now it's all about and who wants to be on this team next year and who's going to show the fight, even though, it's so-called nothing to play for, but there's something to play for your spot on the team next year. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything falls out in these last 2 games. Del Rio, I'm thinking about pulling the plug on that experiment. It took him too long to realize his rushing 4 and playing zone wasn't the answer. And I'm tired of the bland blitzes with the pass rushers being in the same spot on the same side. I want to see, like we saw with Dallas, I want to see the pass rushers over the guard, over the center, switching sides, everything, and to make the offensive line think, work, and try to figure out, where these players are coming from. And we need that type of creativity on defense, and he hasn't given us that in 2 years. And he was known for his creative blitzes, and I just haven't seen it. And I know that's Rivera's boy, but might be time to, figure something out, because it didn't work for the most part this year, for consistently this year. Scott Turner, as I said, not ready to throw in the towel on it. We've seen this team give away offensive coaches. Matt LaFleur in Green Bay, McVay in the Rams, I'm not even going to go. That's just 2 just to say right there is the exclamation point right there. Those 2 right there. Both teams, in the playoff hunt, winning the, Green Bay is top of the division. Top of the conference right now. So, yeah. I'm willing to give him a little bit more time. I'm ready to smack him every now and again, but hopefully he finally gets it and finds his formula and does it the right way and not just pass happy, throwing the ball around, slinging it. That's not going to get it, man. It's not going to get it. But that's pretty much my state of the team. I'll break down more at another time. I'm not sure. I might do it at the end of the season when I break down. Might go through positions by positions, players, and look at the upcoming, year salary cap. We always have our off-season show. I always get Dujane to come on and, give you the best DC sports coverage around, especially the Washington football team. But I'm about to step out of the way and let DC's People's Champ and Arun come on and talk about the NBA because they've had some cancellations also dealing with the COVID issues. And I know they got some new protocols that they're putting in the works that I know DC's People's Champ is going to break down. He's going to recap the games there was, and it looks like the Wizards made it a little bit more respectable. Now it's 111 and 103 in the fourth with 140 left. But as always, it's a little too late for the Wizards. They were down as much as 25 in the third quarter. They're trying to make a game of it, but I think it's pretty much over. DC's People Champ, how you doing tonight, good sir?
It's been a frustrating time to be a Washington sports fan with what happened with Washington and Dallas on Sunday, and then tonight with not only just tonight, but the game against Philly as well, which we'll get into. Arun should be jumping on shortly. I told him about 9:45, but it's a little bit early. So before he jumps on, I did want to talk about the new protocol that the NBA is putting into place when it comes to COVID-19 and quarantine. So a new report came out in a memo that the league put out that Adrian Wojnarowski put out saying that vaccinated NBA players, coaches, staff members, and referees who are asymptomatic will be eligible to return to work after only 6 days instead of 10. And that is based off the recommendation made by the United States CDC, where they lowered the quarantine number from 10 to 5 days. So now if a player does test positive for COVID-19, but they are asymptomatic, they can come back in 6 days instead of 10. And also, if they manage to get 2 back-to-back negative tests within 24 hours of each other, they can come back sooner than the 6 days. So that recently just came out. And a staggering number when it comes to what's been going on with outbreaks in all sports, but in the NBA more specifically. There have been 181 players that have entered the NBA health and safety protocols for COVID-19 in the last 3 weeks. That's from ESPN's Baxter Holmes. 181 players. Think about that number in 3 weeks. If you do the math, that's an average of about 60 players per week that enter health and safety protocols for this virus. That is a staggering number, Carol. That's crazy to me. That in 3 weeks, pretty much almost half the league has been in the protocol.
It's affecting every sport, man. It's crazy. Hockey, basketball, football. It's
affecting wrestling too as well. A few wrestlers had to be pulled from a really big MSG live event on Sunday because of COVID, including Seth Rollins, who's supposed to be in a championship match Saturday. He announced over the weekend he has it. So his participation in Saturday's event in Atlanta is in doubt because he tested positive for COVID-19. Now he could potentially return because he may have been vaccinated and could most likely get cleared and still be a part of it. But a lot of big names were not a part of the MSG show on Sunday, and a lot of them were not a part of Raw last night either. So you're right. It's affecting all sports, including professional wrestling, because of what's going on. Like, COVID's still out here, people. Like, people need to understand that, But yeah, but it's definitely affecting the Wizards because they've had several players out. Rui was likely to make his debut tonight in Miami, but then he entered the protocol this morning. Montrezl Harrell also entered the protocol this morning. Bradley Beal has been in the protocol, and by the way, while he's been in the protocol, he finally went and got the COVID vaccine. He had been hesitant to get the vaccine and all this other stuff, but now, like, while he was in the protocol, he went and got the vaccine. I think he got his first dose of the vaccine. So he's on the path to getting fully vaccinated. Hold on. Harun is saying host has another meeting in progress. I wonder if he clicked the link. Hold on, let me give him the link real quick. Sorry. But yeah, Bradley Beal is finally gone and got the vaccine, so hopefully he gets the vaccine and he doesn't have to worry about being in the protocol for too long, because he's already missed now. I think this is his third or fourth game that he's missed because it's in the health and safety protocol. And tonight, with so many players in the protocol, they were only down to 8 players. They only had 8 players available for this game, which was enough to at least have the game, to play the game, but not enough to postpone it. Oh, there's a room right there.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and step out, and look like they're down 6 points. It's 115-109 with 45 seconds left. Miami has the ball, just tossing it, trying to spread the court, just trying to kill the last seconds of this game. Like I said, too little, too late for the Wizards. Try to come back, but unfortunately, just a little short. And then Arun disappeared on us.
I think he's probably loading up his camera. I mean, his camera came on, but it probably needs to reload it back up. But yeah, this was a tough game right here. This was a tough game, but at least unlike the past couple of games where they got blown out and didn't make it respectable, this team on this night made it an actual fight. I like that 3-pointer by Kispert, who got to start the night because of the fact they were short so many guards, and so he got the chance to start the night with Dinwiddie. But like you said, Carol, it's too little too late. Looks like they're going to fall to Miami, and the slide for this team continues. And he's gone again. But it's been a tough stretch for this Wizards team, which we'll get into once we get Arun on and we start talking about it. But it's been a tough stretch for this Wizards team. We're not going to talk about what they did the prior week when we didn't have a show, because we want to get through the rest of the show. But it's been a tough stretch. I mean, they were able to beat the Knicks, which we'll get into when we talk about the week. They didn't play the Nets on Tuesday because that game got postponed because both teams were dealing with a bad outbreak, so they postponed that game. So they got to make that up. As a matter of fact, the Nets are getting back Durant and a couple other players. They just came off protocol today, so they're going to get their players back. But their West Coast trip, which was last week, I mean, they began last week with a win against the Pistons, and then they lost 4 straight on the road on the West Coast before winning in Utah barely by 6 points. And then that's when the week started with the Nets being postponed, Knicks win, now back-to-back losses. There's Arun.
Arun.
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on, my friend?
I don't know, like some technical difficulties. That's been my fault.
Hey, man, you know how it is, man. Live, when you're streaming live, anything is possible.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and step back and let you basketball guys talk basketball. I'm going to sit here and watch the rest of the ending of this game and find something else to watch on TV.
All right. So we're here. This is the NBA Roundtable, the Wizards Roundtable, part of the Sports on the Hill podcast. I am These People's Champ. I am standing in as the host this week as Brian is taking a well-deserved time off to enjoy time with his family in New York. Tim will not be with us. He is also he's actually overseas this week. So hopefully, those guys are having a great time, and they'll be back with us for the next one. But I do have Arun here. Arun, how you doing, my friend? How you doing?
Not bad. Maybe Brian took that vacation from the show because the Wizards beat the Knicks.
I was gonna say, I think that it's pretty convenient that he takes the week off after we beat the Knicks. But anyway, Brian, we love you. You know this. But anyway, so before we get into this week's action, which we only really had 3 games, including the game tonight, which just ended with a Miami victory, 119-112. I was just talking with Carol, Arun, about the report that came out today about the new changes to the protocol and quarantine, where they've now lowered it from 10 days to 6 days for those who are vaccinated, whether it's players, staff, coaches, referees. They've lowered it to 6 because of the recommendation from the CDC. They've lowered it to 5 days for quarantine for vaccinated individuals. And I gave a very interesting stat that was provided in the article that 181 players in the last 3 weeks have gone into the health and safety protocols for COVID-19. And what do you think about that number? That's a staggering number.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Some teams are using it as an excuse, like LeBron James is saying the Lakers are struggling because they have COVID, but I think everyone's dealing with COVID at this point. So even like the Warriors have Draymond Green and protocol, and they're playing pretty well. So it's just like a mess throughout the whole league. People are being called up throughout the league. The Timberwolves actually had a win yesterday with no starters. Everyone was out due to COVID, so that was pretty good for them. But it's a lot of G League games of the NBA at this point.
Yeah, I was listening to the radio broadcast of this game, the Miami game, and Megan McPeak, who does commentary for both the Washington Mystics and the Capital City Go-Go, was saying that, you know, the G League hasn't even restarted their season yet because of the fact that they wanted to give their players time to be able to pass through protocols if they need to. But a lot of G League players are being called up because a lot of players are going into the health and safety protocols. So before we get into this week, I want to quickly go over the week that we missed because we were out. That was a struggling week for us, Arun. We only had the 2 wins. We had the win we had the loss in Denver. Then we had the loss in Utah. We won against Detroit. But the West Coast trip was really tough. Losses to Denver, the Sacramento, and to the Suns before winning against Utah. And then we come into this week. But what were your thoughts on the week prior with that really up and down, mostly down week where we went out to the West Coast and just could not do anything?
Yeah, it was like even before going out on that road trip, they got blown out by the Jazz, which was pretty big. And then Denver, that loss to Sacramento was pretty bad. And then Phoenix is just rolling over everyone, so that wasn't that surprising. But the Sacramento loss was, I think they had a lead in that game, and they blew a lead. They were up by double digits in the third quarter, and they lost by double digits. A pretty disheartening loss. But at least they were able to pull out a win at Utah somehow. I believe they had some players missing due to COVID. Beal was, but the Wizards played well. Beal had a nice dunk over Gobert, I believe, in that game. And he told him that he was going to dunk on him, and he did. Then before that, Gobert was laughing, but he wasn't laughing after that highlight play by Bradley Beal. But that was probably a great win for the Wizards, given that they had lost 6 of their last 7 games up to that point.
Yeah, and it wasn't known until after the game that would be the last game we would see Beal in for the next 3 because he would enter the COVID-19 and the NBA safety protocols and health and safety protocols. So now we look at this week. Of course, we didn't have the game against the Nets because they were also going through a bad outbreak, and as such, the NBA postponed that game. But we're going to look at the lone win that we've gotten this week, which was against the New York Knicks in MSG. And it wasn't without some big time highlights. Kemba Walker went out there and absolutely balled out with 44 points to lead the Knicks in scoring. But the Wizards were able to withstand that big performance from Kemba to stay the course and win by 7. They ended the first quarter leading by 31-27, but the Knicks were able to roar back in the second quarter with a 37-26 point total. Then in the third, the Wizards' third and fourth quarter, the second half was where the Wizards were able to pull away and keep them at bay, going 33-22 in the third, and then 34-31 in the fourth quarter to hold on to the 7-point lead. Again, Kemba Walker had 44 points and 9 boards, 1 board away from a double-double. Spencer Dinwiddie had 21 points and 12 assists in the victory. The Wizards shot 43% from three-point, and 56% from the floor overall, and 75% from the line. And their biggest lead was only 8, same with the Knicks. What did you think about this game here, Arun?
The Wizards, at this point, they just kept winning without Beal. They were 4-0 without Beal after this game, which was pretty surprising. Granted, the Knicks have also kind of been struggling a little bit. They're 14-18 after a pretty hot start. But Corey Kispert may have gotten player of the game by a lot of Wizards fans. 20 points, 6 of 7 from the field. Good defense by Holiday down the stretch. Kemba Walker, he just won Eastern Conference Player of the Week, and he had 44 points in this game. Before this one, he wasn't even playing. He wasn't even in the Knicks rotation, and they had like several players out due to COVID, and he played amazing. And Dinwiddie continued his good play without Bradley Beal, 21 points. For some reason, him and Beal just don't mesh together for some reason, but I think that will hopefully be solved because I guess they're just the Knicks didn't play really good defense. They gave 124 points, and Knicks are supposed to be a really good defensive team, and the Wizards aren't going to lose many games when they score. I mean, they're going to win a lot of games if they score 124 points, even though they give up 117 points.
Yeah, the Wizards had 7 players in double figures, including Denny Abdia, who had 14 off the bench, and Montrezl Harrell, who had 15 off the bench for them. And then Kyle Kuzma, who was in the starting lineup, had a double-double, 18 points and 10 boards. But again, they were able to do that despite the fact that Kemba started the game and had 44 points. Randall had 23. Burks had 20. So a good win for the Wizards, and it would be something that they would need going down the stretch because their next game was 3 days later against Philly. They were back at home finally after a long road trip, which had one game postponed due to the outbreak. And it was not a good result for the Wizards going up against now the 6th best team in the Eastern Conference. Joel Embiid absolutely torched the Wizards for 36 points. And he also managed to get under the skin of Montrezl Harrell so much that it got him ejected from the game because Montrezl wanted to smoke and Joel did not. But the scoring was like this. Philly was down by 6 after the first 31-25, but then they turned it on with a second quarter scoring output of 38-24. Then a really bad third quarter for the Wizards, 29-17 in favor of the 76ers. Before they finished it off with a 25-24 scoring output in the fourth quarter. Kyle Kuzma was the best scorer for the team, was top performer for the team, 12 points and 10 rebounds for a double-double. Wiz shot 38% from the field, 24% from 3, and only 64% from the free throw line. The biggest lead for the Wizards they had in this game was only 7, while the Sixers led as many as 26 through the game. Arun, what did you think about this very disappointing output for the Wizards coming home?
Yeah, I was able to catch that fight between, or not much of a fight, but that scuffle between Harrell and Embiid. Yeah, I guess it wasn't that out of the ordinary. Harrell was upset with Embiid, but I think Embiid put his 36 points, so that was probably the bigger thing. He dominated 36 points, 13 rebounds. Daniel Gafford had no answer for him. I think in games like this, the Wizards do need another big body like Thomas Bryant just to give Embiid a different look out there. Spencer Dinwiddie had 17 points, but that led the team. But overall, everyone was outscored by all the starters were outscored by -20 while they were on the floor. Bertans actually hit 4 threes, which is pretty good, but not much positive from this beatdown.
Yeah, I'm looking at that as well. Bertans did have 14 points off the bench in 21 minutes. Trez had 15 before he was ejected from the game with the 2 technical fouls for messing with Joel Embiid. But I watched this game. My beautiful better half was here watching, and she kept saying we were going to lose, and then it turns out we ended up losing and losing badly. It was not a good performance from the Wizards. It was not good. And we move on from that one to tonight's game, which was pretty much a similar result to what we just had. Well, the score looks like it was closer than it was, but it really wasn't. Miami Heat victorious over the Wizards in Miami by a score of 119-112. Miami pretty much owned this game all the way through. They started off with a 14-point first quarter lead, 38-24. The Wizards were able to take it in the half at that same deficit with a 27-27 point output in the second quarter. But the third quarter saw the Miami Heat outscore them by 4, 26-22. And then the Wizards were able to make it respectable with a 39-28 fourth quarter, but it wasn't enough for them. Spencer Dinwiddie did have 24 points and 11 assists. And Jimmy Butler was scoring very well with 25 points and 15 assists. But who I was really impressed with is someone I talked about in this podcast last year when they were in the bubble, and that's Tyler Hero. 32 points off the bench, right? He had 32 points off the bench, and he was draining it from three-point land. And it was just a role-play game. It was 5 for 7 from 3. Arun, how did you feel about this game? Because I know you said you were watching this, and I was watching as well, and it was not a very good game, especially with them being as shorthanded as they were. They only had 8 players available for this game.
Yeah, it looked like the Wizards were actually doing kind of well in the first half of the first quarter, attacking the Heat inside, but then it kind of slipped away from them. Duncan Robinson, he was on fire. Well, he took 16 three-pointers in this game, 8 of 16 from three. Wizards had no answer really for him. The Wizards kind of were taking a lot of bad threes, I felt like Kyle Kuzma, Spencer Dinwiddie were taking threes, and Denny only took 4 shots. Granted, he made 2 of 3 of his three-pointers, but he needs to be more aggressive out there. Bertans was actually pretty solid, 7 of 12 from the field, 5 of 10 from three-point range. But then the Wizards were missing a bunch of guys due to COVID. Harrell was out, and guys like Sword and Goodwin and Isaiah Todd, who they drafted in the second round, he's like more of a project player. He airballed the three-pointer, didn't get back in transition, which allowed for the Heat to get a score on that possession. Jimmy Butler, the Wizards have no answers for him. He got to the line 9 times. Denny just seems to foul him all the time. He got a technical, and the last time they met, and this time he didn't really learn his lesson. In fact, I don't really know how to guard Jimmy Butler without fouling him, because he's getting the superstar calls against the Wizards. And overall, this was just a bad loss. You pointed out this game wasn't that close. 11 points. The Heat were outscored in the fourth quarter. It's more indicative of what the third quarter was, where the Wizards were down by more than 20 points. And now the Wizards have as many wins as losses after a very hot start. But they need to play better now.
Yeah, one of the things that I will say in this performance, especially with them being shorthanded, is that those games where they got blown out, there was like little to no fight in this team. Whereas with this one, they're shorthanded. They're only dressing 8 players, including guys you've never heard of. And they went out there and they fought as much as they could to make it to a 7-point loss instead of a double-digit loss. So that's at least something to think about. And hopefully, as we get ready for the week, they got 2 days until their next game, which is a home game. Maybe they'll get some of the players back, and maybe then they can get back on a streak. And speaking of that, upcoming week, we only have 3 games to look at, which is first we have Cleveland on Thursday night, it's a 7:00 game. That'll be at home. The next 3 games are at home because we have a 4-game homestand coming up. Thursday, we have the Cavaliers coming to town. And then on New Year's Day, we have Chicago coming to town. That is a 7:00 start as well. And then on Monday, which will be most likely a post-game to talk about, we have Charlotte coming into town. So let's talk about Cleveland first off. What do you think about this game? Do we get a chance to maybe get back on the winning ways with this game against Cleveland?
Cleveland's actually playing pretty well. They're 20-13. They actually only went on the bit of a slide because Evan Mobley was out with an injury. I actually just going to check, do they have anyone out due to COVID? Even Kevin Love, he had 22 points in the last game in a 144-99 win against Toronto, which is pretty crazy. So I think the Wizards will probably lose to Cleveland, given that the Wizards, the last time they beat Cleveland, they kind of stole that game against Cleveland. So I think Cleveland will have that on their minds.
So according to this, Jarrett Allen, who's a center, and Darius Garland, who's a guard, are both listed as out there, and they went into the protocol today. So they may or may not miss this game, but there's a likelihood they will miss this game. So Cleveland won't have them for this game, but who knows? I kind of agree with you. Ricky Rubio seems to be their elite scorer, their good scorer here, averaged almost 13 points a game. I think that if the Wizards can get back a couple of their players who have been on the protocol, most notably like Bradley Beal, I think they have a chance, but I think that Cleveland does get the victory here. Next, we have, again, as I said, Chicago coming to town. Bulls are the second best team in the East right now. DeMar DeRozan's been killing it with averaging 27 points a game. They do have Lonzo Ball out. He went into the COVID protocols 2 days ago, so there's a likelihood he could be back for this game. He's been playing very well for them as in the starting lineup. But what do you think about this game?
Yeah, the Bulls will actually have played on That's crazy. They're playing on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, so not much time to party in between for them for New Year's Eve, but that's the way the schedule makers have made it. The Bulls have been playing great, but I give the Wizards a pretty good chance to win this game, given that the Bulls will have played the previous day and the Wizards have some time off. And the Wizards are playing at home where they usually play much better.
Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule as well. The Bulls are playing a back-to-back in its road games. They're going to be in Indiana the day before. It'll be an afternoon game, so they may have a little something, but they do have to travel from Indiana to Washington to play, and so it might not bode well for them. I will also give the Wizards the edge in this one. If they can find a way to contain DeMar DeRozan, I think they might have a chance to steal a victory here in DC. And then finally, a game that we'll look at post-game on next Monday's show will be against the Charlotte Hornets. The last time we played the Hornets, LaMelo Ball absolutely torched us. It was absolutely crazy. And he's currently averaging almost 20 points a game so far. They have a couple players that are out with COVID-19 and in the protocols. Miles Bridges, but it was only a couple days ago, so he could be back. And PJ Washington as well on the protocol list, but he could be back as well. What are your thoughts about this game?
Yeah, the Hornets have been playing pretty well. Like, they've taken care of the Wizards each of the times that they played this season. They just blew out the Houston Rockets. They beat the Denver Nuggets on the road. The Wizards could win this game, but they definitely have to play closer to the level that they have won, like during the first half of the season, or the beginning of the season. Actually, we're still in the first half of the season. And I think this will I'm going to say it's going to be a loss, but maybe the Wizards can rebound. If Bradley Beal plays better coming off his second COVID and his vaccine, apparently. Maybe he just got that. So maybe the Wizards can play better, but I have this as a loss right now for the Wizards.
I think they could probably steal this one. They just need to find a way to keep LaMelo Ball in check because, again, he absolutely torched this team when we were in Charlotte a while back. So if they can keep him in check and the Wizards can score and make quality baskets as well as play very sound defense, I think they can steal this win. So I think that the Wizards can go 2-1 this week. I know that the Cleveland one will most likely be a loss, but I think they can beat Chicago and they can beat Charlotte. And so again, we will break down that one. Hopefully we'll have the full roundtable back with us next Monday, and we'll break down these three games and look ahead to the following week where it's another 3-game schedule for the Wizards going forward. But that's going to be it for the Wizards Roundtable for this evening. Again, it's been a crazy time with COVID going on and things like that. It's been crazy, but the Wizards were able to still keep their schedule. They only had the one game postponed. Hopefully that'll get made up sometime soon. But Arun, any final thoughts before we let you go for the evening?
No, not really. Just too bad Brian couldn't be here this week. Hopefully we can bring up the Knicks game next week when Brian is back on the show.
Oh, I'm bringing that shit up. Watch. I'm bringing it up. Don't worry. I'm bringing it up. But anyway, Arun, what you got going on with your podcast and anything like that?
Gotta get back on that podcast. I think I'll drop an episode tomorrow. This one specifically for Brian will be about Ted Lasso. I did a review on each episode of Ted Lasso, just editing it all together and putting that out there. And then I'll probably give my thoughts on the Wizards and the Washington football team. I think the postseason hopes are pretty much over. Sorry, Carol, but it is what it is.
Oh, no.
Maybe I'm jinxing that. Maybe I'm doing a tip.
No, I say that in my State of the Team that pretty much the playoffs was out of the realm. I put most of it on Scott Turner's play calling. It played right into the last 3 games, and the 3-game losing streak was totally against what the 4-game winning streak was, running the ball, time of possession, and running the ball down people's throats. And yeah, but I'm not mad at missing the playoffs. They weren't, last year winning the division was a gift and a curse. Like I said, it was great to win the division, but this team wasn't ready for a first place schedule and, going on the road that they went on, and with COVID and the injuries, just compounded it and made it look worse than it was. Like I said, 56-14. Yeah, that's bad, but hey, you gotta take the good with the bad. I know the team is better than it was before, and they're growing, and they're it might not be as fast as most folks want, but I see improvement, so I'm good.
Yeah, especially this week, there are 25 players, I believe, coming off of COVID, even though they're back. They're not quite 100%. I think that first loss at Dallas is probably worse for me than this one. This was just like not even that close. I didn't feel as bad as the first Dallas game. So, yeah, I'll post my thoughts out there on the podcast, and I'm probably the future off season, what Washington's planning to do. I've heard some people speculating that they might trade for Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr. We'll see. Or Russell Wilson's out there as well. Or should they just roll it back with Heineke, give him another shot? I'll explore those options on the podcast, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely was interesting moves in the offseason, especially with Fitzpatrick, his 1-year deal. Then he only played one half, and that's it. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting going forward. They got room under the cap. There's going to be some, cap casualties. I expect Landon Collins to either restructure his deal or he'll probably be gone because he doesn't not so fond of the linebacker/safety role. So, yeah, it's going to be some interesting things going forward, but can't wait to see what happens. And, yeah, we'll be breaking down, have our off-season special, as always, talking about the team, what moves they're going to possibly make, and I'm going to reach out to some of my insiders and see what I can divulge and what I can't.
Yeah, no RG3 thoughts, really. Apparently, I'm getting that book for Christmas next year. Somebody pre-ordered the book for me, but no big RG3 news.
Yeah, I'm just mad.
Why didn't New Orleans call RG3 when they needed a quarterback? Why didn't they call Drew Brees, though?
I just wish I'd have had the idea to write the book. I'd have been like, damn it, I knew I should have called that dude.
Yeah, I think RG3 could have played better than that dude from New Orleans played yesterday. Book, a lot of people won fantasy football championships because of that Miami defense. They got sacks, they got interceptions. That quarterback, RG3, even running and getting injured would have been a positive over Book.
Yeah, it was ugly yesterday. But as always, Arun, I appreciate you taking the time, man. Another year in the books, man. Another year on the show. Thanks for taking the time. Appreciate all your contributions, all your input, and all of your great commentary, including your RG3 facts whenever you get a chance, man. I appreciate it, and hope you have a happy new year, and definitely will talk to you next week.
Yes, look forward to seeing you next week and next year. Thanks for having me on.
All right, man. Good night. All right. DC's People's Channel. Let them know what you got going on your podcast with all the wrestling stuff. I've been watching, Monday Night Raw. I've been trying to watch SmackDown, but I haven't had a chance to really get into it. I've always been a Raw guy. And I've been trying to catch those other ones, but I just don't have the time. There's so many different leagues now, I can't even keep up.
Yeah, well, right now the podcast is on a holiday break. We did our last episode on December the 11th of the weekly podcast, and the final podcast of the network was the following Thursday on the 16th for New Japan. So we're kind of on a holiday break, but we will be back on January the 8th. We will be doing the weekly podcast return on the 8th at 4 p.m. streaming live on Twitch, and then myself and Sith will be live reacting to Impact's first pay-per-view of 2022, which is Hard to Kill, which will be on that night. That'll be at around 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, streaming live exclusively on Twitch. So right now we're on a holiday break, but wrestling's still going on. There's a lot going on in wrestling. So if you want to know what's going on, you can check us out on facebook.com/NoSpotsPod. And again, we'll be back on January the 8th. But Carol, have a happy new year. It's been great being on here again with Sports on the Hill. And I'm looking forward to continuing to do this into 2022, bringing more thoughts on the NBA and occasionally Washington football.
No doubt. As always, appreciate you taking the time. Hope you have a good, happy New Year's and enjoy, spend time with the fam, and definitely check you next week for another great episode of Sports on the Hill podcast.
By the way, I made a bet with my better half, and I bet against Washington to get a little favor in my back pocket for whenever I want, and I'm kind of glad I did it.
You had to, man.
She agreed to it without reading it, and she was like conflicted. She was like kind of conflicted on rooting for her team because she's a Cowboys fan. So I bet against the Washington to get this favor in my back pocket whenever I want it, and I got it. So I'm happy. Anyway, all right, have a good night, bro.
Hey, man, you got to do what you got to do, man. It's all good. All right, man, you have a good night. I'm about to wrap it up and get up out of here myself. You have a good night, bro. All right, CP3 live in the lab. Get ready to get out of here. I said I was going to give my thoughts on the passing of John Madden on the football segment, but I got caught up in talking about Washington football team, so I didn't really get a chance to touch on it. So I'm going to go ahead and end the show speaking about John Madden, great coach, Hall of Fame coach, Raiders. He was one of the reasons why I got into coaching and then getting into his commentating. He's one of the reasons why I got into podcasting. I was always a Madden fan. As we spoke about at the beginning of the show with him and Pat Summerall on Channel 9 on Thanksgiving and then on Fox. And, then not even talking about the football game that brought football into everyone's living room for kids to play and have fun and have tournaments, and now how it's blown up to the Madden tournaments and $1 million prizes. I wish I'd have stuck with it and kept playing because I was a Madden kid. I was a Madden guy going back to the Sega Genesis days all the way up to the PlayStation 3. I think that's the last time I played. So, but it's definitely never going to be another John Madden. As I said, they had a special on Christmas on Fox. If you didn't check it out, you should go back and look at it because there's a lot of folks they had that gave their testimonial of the time they spent with them professionally and the commentating and the coaching world and the playing world, all of it. So it's definitely going to be missed. It's never going to be another John Madden. He revolutionized football. He revolutionized commentating. And he was just a great guy from the recollections of everyone that was on that special, stand-up guy, down to earth, talk to anybody, take pictures, take the time, sign autographs and everything. So he was definitely inspiration in a lot of people's lives, and he's definitely going to be missed. 2021 has been a crazy year. We've lost a lot of good people, and unfortunately, John Madden is one of those people that's getting added to the list. So rest in peace, John Madden. He definitely had an impact on this world and impact on the game of sports, video games, and any and everything you put your hands on. As always, I'm going to get out of here with some independent music videos. Go check out the website, sportsothp.com, for the apparel line, for all the shows, archived, highlight videos, live feeds, one-on-one interviews. I'm working on another huge interview this year. So going into next year, we always like to have at least one celebrity a year on the show. So I'm working on getting one for next year. So stay tuned. Make sure if you're looking for a new or used vehicle, hit me up. Carol Porter III on Facebook. Carol Porter on Instagram. Inbox me. Let me know. I'm down at Waldorf Honda, 2450 Crane Highway. If you're in the market, we're making deals, looking to sell some cars, hit me up. And I guess that's about it. It's been a great year. Love having a Sports OTHP team. Who would have thought? Started this 5-6 years ago. Started with me and Robbie. Now we got a team of almost 20 covering everything from Olympics to boxing, MMA, football, basketball, baseball, any and everything under the sun. Just about it. Everything under the sun. We don't cover golf. But yeah, we might call the boxing guy as a golfer, so we might get some golf coverage also. You never know. But as always, we appreciate your support. We appreciate you tuning in every week. We appreciate, you being here for us, because without you, the show wouldn't be possible. Make sure you go check us out. If you missed the show live, you can check us out on the podcasting platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Anchor. Just do Sports OTHP, and it'll come up. Get all the latest episodes. So, CP3, live from the lab. DC Sports about the politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. Renegade 703. And I'm out.
I was down, now I'm really about to go get up. 10 rounds, now that nigga can't get up. That's what you get when you go fuck with the vision. My money be piling, we don't do division. The feds be watching, I just gotta get up. I was just down, now I'ma get up. Sleeping on me, I bet they didn't get up. My money was low, but now I'ma get up. Oh, bet that we get up. Pushing this weight, I'm doing sit-ups. I was just dirty, now I got my fit up. Too good for these bitches, I bet they gon' miss us. And I pack a bag if you think that I'm trippin'. I keep this shit brisk, like I'm sip-lipped on. Even though niggas don't know what to get on. You ain't shit, till your niggas gon' get on. Get you some pack, go make a flip homes. Yeah, I'm stuck in my bad ways. Niggas always being burnt out, so I dip them all in the ashtray. I don't understand these niggas that just always talking about, yeah, they past ways. I don't understand these bitches always comparing me to they past days. I give a fuck about you, you give a fuck about me. I just be rapping for money, you be rapping for free. Feel like that I rap like a god, the reason they call me a G. I'm against all of these odds. Niggas ain't fucking with me. Never no worries, Hakuna Matata. They say that I'm hot cause the devil with Prada. I'm Soulja Boy first and these niggas gon' follow. Catching them feelings, you catching these hollows. Ride with Rodriguez like I fuck with Rollo. Ain't got no time when I see this Movado. Bet that bitch shine like I'm in Monte Carlo. Looking at me like I done hit the lotto. Count your last days, get hit up. Talking that trash, Shay on Twitter. Your bitch, she be bad, yeah, I'm with her. When she see me, her face be lit up. Boy, better go ahead and mind your business. I don't go back and forth like tenor. Run this game, I don't get no finna. But we about to get up. 10 rounds, now that nigga can't get up. That's what you get when you go fuck with the vision. My money be piling, we don't do division. The feds be watching, I just gotta get up. I was just down, now I'ma get up. Sleeping on me, I bet they didn't get up. My money was low, but now I'ma get up. Oh.
Crank it up, Pedro.
I gotta wake up and go get the bread. I gotta go ahead and clip up the smash. She all in the village, she giving me sex. I got a slack, swerve on my ass. Count up on the move, that's a digital dash. They been just losing, I'm living these fads. Never go broke cause I got me a stash. I could never ever live in the past. I gotta wake up and go get the bread. I gotta go ahead and clip up the smash. She all in the village, she giving me sex. I got a slack, swerve on my ass. Count up on the move, that's a digital dash. They been just losing, I'm living these fads. Never go broke cause I got me a stash. I could never ever live in the past. But I dish it like I give it and go. Counting money while I chill at the stove. How I deliver, I've been at the dough. It's up to you how business will go. That 36 I get for the look. Count it up, no feelings will show. Spend so much, gotta get it some more. When they hands out, I just give up a no. How they always talking about me, but a nigga stand out. Watch out how you really walk up to me, that's a man down. All these niggas got these drums with them like a band now. I've been doing what I want, that's what you can't doubt. I've been just feeling myself. Do I just really need help? I got my weight up. I be just telling myself I got love for all of my dogs. I take a pay cut. Some niggas really gon' ride. Some niggas really gon' slide. So go say a prayer. We ain't never gotta slap 5. Nigga, just pay your tithes and call me the mayor. I gotta wake up and go get the bread. I gotta go ahead and clip up the smash. She all in the village, she giving me sex. I got a slack, swerve on my ass. Count up on the move, that's a digital dash. They been just losing, I'm living these fads. Never go broke cause I got me a stash. I could never ever live in the past. I gotta wake up and go get the bread. I gotta go ahead and clip up the smash. She all in the village, she giving me sex. I got a slack, living these fads. Never go broke cause I got me a stash. I could never ever live in the past.
What's up? What's up, man?
I've been calling you all day.
Listen. I'm in the booth. I'm gonna call you back as soon as I'm done. Give me like 10 minutes.
What do you mean you're gonna call me back? Like, I've been calling you all day. It's been hours. Like, what are you doing?
I know it's your birthday. My apologies. Give me 10 minutes, babe. I'm gonna call you right back.
I know you with them girls. So let me see then.
You gonna do that? You gonna do that to me in front of Chill?
You got me waiting on my birthday, so let me see.
Yeah, no problem. Stella, say hello. Happy birthday.
Yeah,
We working hard though.
Hey, listen. Hey, give me an hour. I'm gonna calm down. Relax. I got you.
Hurry up.
Sometimes I don't even come home.
Squeezes Lorenzo in the corner. Delivers 4 unanswered blows.
Hey, hey, hey. I got condo in Manhattan. Baby girl was signing. You was invited. So go and get the clapping. Pop it for me. Pop it for me. Turn around and drop it for me. Drop it for me. Let's go. Beach house in Miami. Break the window check. Lock the tail for dinner. Put no circumstance. Say they got it if you want. Got it if you want. Say we want it if you want. Say they got it if you want. Let's go.
disco. Take me to a place where everybody learns, where everybody sees, where everybody shows their love. I didn't think so. You know. That's why I always try to plan for you or me. I really didn't think so. I take a promise, I give it some love, I make a wish upon a star. You know you gotta get it right. You know you gotta get it right. Every little thing counts now. Every little bitty thing. Can you hear me? I am calling now out your name, and now I know. And I'm here, and you know it. It's all just the same, and I know it's gonna be disco. It'd be so cool just to celebrate all the love and all the hate that's going down. It's gotta stop, we've had enough. Why can't we just live together? Peace, love, and harmony is what this world needs forever. Can you hear me? I am calling now out your name, and now I know. Can you hear me? I am calling out your name.
A few years ago, I told myself I'd be the next big thing in the industry. See, the game is simple. Life has its way to show us that anything is possible. The power of the tongue, which has the ability to be detrimental or beneficial. Was it beneficial? I'll leave that one up to y'all. This is my story from me to you.
You're listening to this song right now. I'm speaking specifically to you. I want to give you my testimony and tell you a little bit about myself, if you don't mind. Coming from nothing but a little struggle and pain. Crazy how we can all turn around for you and change. I done seen a lot of things in the street, wrong things to me. Hustling with them niggas that was no good for me, but I never gave up. 10 toes prayed up, thinking about the nights when the opposition got sprayed up. Trying to see a sunny day, all I get is rainy days. Screaming free my dogs and the loved ones who ain't here today. Yeah, I miss you, wanna kiss you, wanna hug you and hold you, won't forget you. All my life I've been misunderstood, just a little nigga tryna get up out the hood. And this thing we call poverty, but that's all inside of me. Used to cry myself to sleep, but strong I gotta be. Now I'm on TV, I done made it out the street. Troubled child turned the streams to reality. See, I knew that I would get there all along. Listen to the words of the song. This is my story from me to you. All I wanna do is just give you my truth. All I really want, promise to keep this just between me and you. Just between me and you. And you can do anything. Just believe in your dreams will come true. Who would've thought that we would come up like we did? Running always getting in some shit, breaking windows from throwing rocks, but we was just being kids and smoking at the park, coming in after dark, rolling with them thug niggas, reckless with no heart, sexing on them, hood rats addicted from the start, trapping and catching cases, ghetto life is so hard. Coming from a broken home, left me all alone, neglected as a child with nothing to call my own. But now that I'm good, now that I'm paid, I'm shining, everything is okay. This is my story from me to you. All I wanna do is just give you my truth. I'm giving you my truth with you in it. Promise to keep this just between me and you. Don't you tell nobody no. And you can do anything, 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 anything. Just believe in your dreams will come true. So yeah, this is a to B conversation. And with great faith, you can see your way out of anything.
Single punches the first gift treat out the ring. This Mason crouches on his left leg and lifts up like a fast left hook to the opponent's head. It was a classic knockout.
Oh, come on, man. I got family, I got kids, everything. Everything's upstairs in the closet, bro.
Mike Tyson versus Reggie Brooks.
Money.
Beginning of the fight, it was clear that Reggie Brooks was afraid of Tyson.
Money.
To the jab, and then immediately comes back.
I love that money.
Lucas.
Money.
He even manages to spring his
Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. You don't really want to play.
and set to loose to the canvas. The audience roared.
Money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you've been talking about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. It's money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. Money, 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 make me shut him out. Don't never ever talk about it if you never had the clout. You don't know what to say, stay up out of my way. Money, 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 make me shut him out. Keep playing with these goonies, boy, I'm gonna have to make the call. Stay in bounds on your pivot, boy, if you gon' ball. Cause a lot of niggas be fake, and you really can't play. Cause we done got it out the mud, nigga, what you talking about? Screaming, oh my God, money got me pride. They living a lie, look into my eyes, they may seem surprised, cause it's homicide. We just multiply, we been on the rise. If we got some wings, fuck it, we gon' have to fly. Money, 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 what you talking about? Day in my life, take me a different route. And use all my cash, niggas on my face. You can get it erased, what you talking about? Money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you been talking about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. It's money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't want to be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. You never crossing these borders. I'm whipping it up, Gordon Ramsay. I swear that I'm cooking these orders. You talk about me, you better just hope that you can just really afford it. I'm balling, I'm balling, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm feeling like Robert Horry. Nigga, I'm scoring. I count in the morning. They talk about me, then I gotta ignore it. My bitches be foreign. So independent, my money be corporate. These raps is boring. You hate me and I'm always gonna adore it. I'm smoking that soaring. She always go ahead and let me explore it. I call her my Dora. You can go and talk about me, I ain't flawless. I go put my all in. If a nigga talk about me, then I'm gone in. You know that I'm gone in. Jump in, take trips, Pompeii. All day, always keep 3 stacks like Andre. I get it, I get it, I get it, I get it, man. And you can never, ever, ever get money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you've been talking about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. Cause money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be